Hello and welcome back to another video where today I am going to be talking about and reviewing The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, aka as I like to call him, Brando Sando. So this is the sequel to The Final Empire, the first Mistborn book. This is the Mistborn series, well the Era 1 Mistborn series, so there will be spoilers in this video for the first Mistborn book because you cannot talk about this one without talking about the first one and what happens and spoiling the conclusion, as it leads directly off that in terms of, even though there is a gap between, there's a time gap between book 1 and book 2, the events of book 2 are entirely fueled by what happens at the end of book 1. So if you have not read book 1, go and check out my review for that. I'll link it in the description, and there should be a card up there we go, that you can look at and see if book 1 is for you. But if it is for you and you want to see if you want to read book 2, which I'm sure you do, you're in the right place. So this book kicks off exactly a year about after book 1. So the Lord Ruler has been defeated, and basically Elend is now the king, and he's also trying to get this political system, this very democratic political system in place, and suddenly now we have all these armies coming to Luthadel to try and besiege it and take it for the ATM that they can't find, that Elend and Vin can't find. And that's where we start off. This is a very politically based and character based story. Not that the first one wasn't, but the first one was also much more fast paced. It was a lot more about that heist story and about Kelsier and Vin and their dynamic. This one is very much character based in the sense that you get to learn a lot more about Vin, Elend, Sazed, all the members of the crew such as Breeze or Clubs. They get a lot more development in this book throughout and point of view, and there are some new characters in, and it's basically a political thriller in that there are so many new elements coming in all the time that completely changes the political landscape as Elend tries really hard to be the best leader he can possibly be with also his ideals, as he's a very honest man, which doesn't really work, and Vin trying to really develop from that street urchin that she was, which she's still like that, but now she's in a much higher position. She has to deal with a lot of responsibilities, and that's where the book leads off. There are a lot of new elements in here. If you thought that Sanderson was done with the twists at the end of book 1, absolutely not. There are so many twists in this book, and the cliffhanger at the end is massive, and you just think, wow, what's going to happen next? I have no idea. So that's a good sequel. It builds on everything the first book built on. The magic system gets more developed, all the characters get developed more, and the story, while it is far more, it's slower paced than the first book. I personally really enjoyed that because you really got to really know these characters this time around, and I really liked that. I didn't find it boring at all. Some people have said that this book's quite boring compared to the first one. I didn't find that at all. Yes, it is slower, but I actually like The Well of Ascension better than The Final Empire. Because with The Final Empire, for me, it started off kind of slow, introducing you to the world, and then about the last third, it got really, really good. For The Well of Ascension, for me, the entire book was really, really good, of course, but being a Brando Sando book, the last third is also amazing this time around as well. So that will be for the spoiler-free section for The Well of Ascension. If that sounds like something you want to read, I would check it out. Go and read it. It's fantastic, and come back later to hear my spoiler talk of this book, which I will start to do now. So let's go. Alright, so this will be my spoilery, discussion-y part of The Well of Ascension. And so starting off, let's talk about Zane. Zane, he's a great character. I don't like him at all, but he's a great character. I loved how the reveal that he was Elend's brother wasn't something big like, I am your brother, Elend. That was a horrific Darth Vader impression. I don't know why I did that, but I liked how it was literally just, oh, maybe he's Elend's brother, and then a few chapters later, Literally, you get a chapter from his point of view, and he immediately says that he is, of course, related to Ellen, which is insane. It's not really that important in terms of their dynamic. Ellen and they don't even have a dynamic, really. But it does mean that it complicates Vin. So let's jump into Vin. Actually, I'll just quickly say, before we get into Vin, I did think that Zane was a great character in helping Vin grow, but him himself, I thought he was kind of... he was a bit of a plot device in that he helped Vin grow, and he also sort of... with Ruin, which is the voice inside his head, and at the end when he dies, and it says, you know what? You weren't insane. That was just, that was crazy. That was just a great moment of just going, I kind of feel sorry for him. But he's just not a great person. He's a product of his upbringing, but he's not a great person at all. But going back to Vin, her and Ellen's dynamic in this was really wholesome. Like, they are a great couple together, and they do treat each other really well, but they're also really young. I get the irony of that I'm younger than Vin, but I could see how she was making a lot of mistakes. She was making a lot of mistakes in this book. That's why she's not a Mary Sue, by the way. She makes so many mistakes. But then she also tries her best, and Ellen's at the same time. He makes a little less mistakes than Vin, but he's just trying to do the best he can. And that was really good. It did get annoying sometimes, like Vin constantly second guessing herself, and saying, I'm not good enough for him, and Ellen trying to understand her and saying, she's this other thing. But it was handled very well. The chemistry wasn't super there. I think that's just Sanderson's writing style. He's not fantastic at romantic chemistry, and we'll get to that soon with Tindrell and Sazed. But it is a really wholesome relationship, and I do like that at the end they got married. That was really nice. And Vin finally got the weight lifted off her shoulders towards the end. And I don't think she actually loved Zane, because the love story in this isn't with Vin. It isn't about... I didn't really see it as a love triangle, because it wasn't about it wasn't about Zane, really. I read it as it was about Vin herself and her internal conflict, because a lot of this book is about Vin's internal conflict of who she is, and her trying to find that out. And Zane represents one side of her, and Ellen represents another side, and her trying to come to terms with that. And then eventually, of course, I don't think she ever was saying, no, do I not love Ellen? No, she loved Ellen the entire time. But she was not sure if she was right for him at certain points in the book. Luckily, though, it ends, well, not happily ever after at all, really, but their dynamic and their relationship does end in a positive way. Moving on, let's talk now about Sazed and Tindrell. Tindrell was... her personality was a necessary evil. Like, she is very strict, this is how it's gotta be. But she needed to be there to help Ellen grow into the man he becomes towards the end of the book. And I mean, with Ellen towards the end, where he says, with his friend Jasks or whatever, and he says, I forgive you, and then he chops off his head and he says, but my kingdom cannot. Jeez. Ellen, I understand why he did it. It reminds me of the first chapter of Game of Thrones. I get it, he needs to do that. He's not just Ellen anymore, he's the king. But it was, or the emperor, as by the end of the book. But it was still just, I don't know, it sort of got me the wrong way, because that's not who Ellen is, but it's actually kind of is now. He's developed, he has to be that role. But he still is a good man, and he does question that throughout. But in terms of Tindrell herself, Tindrell, she's fine. I do like her as a character, and her slow sort... Well, it is a romance, because I started reading The Hero of Ages, and it was definitely supposed to be taken as a romance with Sazed, was fantastic in terms of what it meant for the story, and gave Sazed more development, and you got to learn more about the Terrace people. But I didn't really see a lot of chemistry there, but it was still great. Like, I still enjoyed reading it. And the moment when they're together, and then Vin comes in, and she says to Ellen, or it might be Ellen first, but either way, one of them comes in, and they say, "I need to talk to you, Satan," and it's about their relationship, Vin with Ellen and Ellen with Vin, and Tindril has to leave, and then Vin talks to Sazed, and then she leaves, and then Tindril comes back, and then Ellen comes in, and then Tindril has to leave again. I thought that was hilarious. Just, it was a bit of humor in quite a dark moment of the book, and I just found it really funny. And let's continue on. And of course, with Tindril dying at the end, that obviously is going to have massive repercussions for Sazed's character, and also the big revelation at the end of the book also is going to heavily impact Sazed. It's going to impact everyone, but Sazed particularly because of his religious beliefs. And he's such a great man, and he's a great father figure. I actually like Sazed better than Kelsier. I mean, I love Kelsier, but Kelsier was quite a dark character as well. So, and you kind of needed that for Vin to be able to bond with him. But I think it was, if I had to pick between who would bring Vin up, between Sazed and Kelsier, I would pick Sazed. So if he's going to struggle next book, then that's going to be I'm not sure about that. But let's continue on to talk about Tensoon. Tensoon, oh my gosh, or also, so the twist, the entire book, you're like, who is the spy? Who's the one infiltrating? I was questioning everyone. I was like, oh, it might be Doxson, or it could be Spook. I mean, I didn't think that Sanderson would kill Spook off, but maybe you would. Maybe you'd kill Spook, and I was just, I was questioning everyone. But I never, ever thought, oh, it's Decandra, it's Ursur. I never thought that. And it turned out to be Tensoon impersonating Ursur. And the thing is, because he took over and infiltrated it, but before Vin started to bond, and so all that bonding was with Tensoon, who, I don't even know who Ursur is. I don't even care. But Tensoon is a great character, and that twist was like, no. But the fact that he still decided, because of the bond they formed, which was really great throughout the book, by the way, because of the bond they formed, how then Tensoon was then able to actually go against his contract and save Vin. That was amazing. That was really something. Well, and then her being able to beat Zane without ATM by finding a loophole was really clever writing, with Sanderson using the magic system again to having it be simple but really effective in its utilization. That was really something, and I really liked Tensoon, and how Vin then forgived him immediately afterwards, because she understands that he was in a very tough situation. He's just a great character, and I really hope that he and Vin do more stuff next book, and they can really become a duo. I would love that. And talking of a duo, let's talk about what happens at the very end of the book, with Clubs and what's his name, Doxson. So Clubs and Doxson die. Yeah, I understand it. In fact, actually, if I had to kill off two characters, it would actually be Clubs and Doxson, because both of them don't really have any more things to do. Doxson he's not the same. He has to come to terms now that maybe killing all those nobility was not a good thing, and he can't cope without Kelsier, and he's just not the same man anymore, and honestly, it was the best thing for him to go, before he hurt himself more. And Clubs, he's old, he's had a life, not you can kill off old people, but he's had a life, and it was really nice with Sazed giving him that, whatever that was at the end, and him taking up, we think he actually did start to take up that religion that Sazed offered him, and we got more insight into Clubs' character with him being loving to make things, and being a bit of a carpenter. So that was fantastic. And then they died, and it wasn't even like a massive dramatic moment. It was just doom. It was some Game of Thrones level stuff, which proves Sanderson can easily kill off his characters, but he has a purpose for it. Not that other authors don't have a purpose, but Sanderson can be ruthless. That's what I'm saying. He can be ruthless if he needs to be and if the story requires that. So, who knows? Next Stormlight book, maybe Dalinar is going to be... Ugh. But, let's now talk quickly about the end of the book with the release of Ruin. So, the twist that the prophecy was actually not only fake, well, we think fake, but that it's been molded over time by Ruin, and that nothing that's put on it, anything except for steel can be trusted. And so all of the words have been not mistranslated, but they've been changed. The entire prophecy has been changed. What Sathan's been studying is all a lie. His religion is a lie. That was insane. And oh my gosh, I can't even. And then with Vin, and you learn and you start to realize that the Lord Ruler was actually doing a good thing. He was a tyrant, but he actually kept them alive by moving the planets and then getting it wrong, and then actually, it's so grand. The scale is so grand with the world building, and how he made the ash to try and save them, and all of this stuff is insane. And then how Vin actually released, which you'd think is a good thing, that Vin released the magic and said, no, I'm not going to use it. In doing that, she also released Ruin, and now has set the world on a path to destruction. So that is insane. It's such a twist. And then with what's his name, Ellen getting the vial. What was it? The vial or something? He swallowed something. Maybe I think it was like a little orb. And now he is an Allomancer, maybe like from the original place of Allomancy. That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, I cannot wait. I did love that that Elend and Vin are different, so they make each other better because of their differences. And now Elend is an Allomancer, but hopefully it won't change Elend at all. He'll still be the same man he is, and so that won't really change anything apart from the fact that he can now fight with Vin, which is really cool. So that's been my entire review for the Well of Ascension, the second book in Mistborn Era 1. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more great content based on your favourite works of fiction from games, movies, and books. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys later. I've been the Aussie Viking. Bye bye.